Good morning. Good afternoon. My name is Sanshin Oberholtzer. I'm the resident priest and guiding teacher at the Joseph Priestley Zen Sangha in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. We're a part of Empty Moon Zen. Northumberland, a town just down the road from here, was the final home of Joseph Priestley, that Unitarian divine and namesake of our local Sangha, and sits at the confluence of the two main branches of the Susquehanna River. The mountains out of which it flows are so old that they have been worn down to rolling hills. The river itself is supposed to be the third oldest river on earth. With all of that age, with all of that experience draining the valley's woodlands, of the region's excess rainfall, you'd think the river's capacity to flood would be unsurpassed. But it's the creeks, the tributaries that take the prize and wreak the most havoc on the valley's residents. Creeks overflow their banks on a regular basis. Roads are closed, bridges damaged, fields inundated. Karen and I were driving our daughter's Danish in-laws around town here in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania last week, and in passing over the several creeks that feed into the Susquehanna River in Lewisburg alone, had the occasion to talk about the floods that plague the river valley and point out where Karen's grandmother had been washed out of her home 3 times during Karen's lifetime. It has seemed as though the deadliest places to build houses are not by the river itself, but along the creeks which flood periodically and can devastate the communities that grow up around them. Still, I understand the fishing is exceptional. And it brings to mind that perennial joke about rising waters. There was an old man, somewhat irascible, but deeply devout. As I think of him, I remember Old Man Davis, the neighborhood codger who lived in an equally old and equally ramshackled farmhouse, left standing in our suburban neighborhood in Nashville, a place not unlike the Susquehanna Valley. This story's old man was sitting out on his front porch when the radio came on announcing a flood watch. Thought the old man, sipping his bourbon. God will provide. Soon enough, the streets filled with water, and from the radio came a plea from the town's mayor, reaching out to the community and urging them to seek higher ground. No, I put my trust in the Lord, said the old man from his rocking chair there on his porch. Water soon began to cover the man's front yard, and a fire department boat came by. The fireman leaned out and offered a hand. Come on, he called. We'll take you up to the high school. No thanks, said the man. God takes care of his own. The floodwaters worked their way up the sides of the man's house, and he found himself on his roof when a Coast Guard helicopter hovered over him and lowered a rope ladder. Come on up, said the guardsman, reaching his hand down out of the open side door. We'll get you out of here. No, said the old man as he waved the helicopter away. God is my help. The waters soon covered the house. The man whose God had walked on water had neglected himself to learn to swim, and as you might expect, found himself standing before St. Peter. Show me to God, he demanded, and brushing St. Peter aside, made his way to the celestial throne. I put my faith in you, he shouted to God. I put my trust in you, and you let me drown like a dog. God looked down at him, sighed, reached out a heavenly hand, and patting the old man's shoulder, said, I sent you warnings. I sent you the fire department's boat, the Coast Guard's helicopter. What more would you have me do? One of our koans, in our Zen way, is, how is my hand like Buddha's hand? We find it in Huilong Huinan's three turning words in the collection our school refers to as the miscellaneous koans, an invitation to our true nature. We might track down those turning words to an appendix, sometimes added to the koan collection known as the Gateless Gate and entitled Huilong's Three Checkpoints, written there in gratitude to the Gateless Gate's author by Huiliang Zhongzhu in the late spring of 1230. Huilong Huinan's was himself a Zen master who used three questions as one-line koans. How was my hand like the Buddha's hand? How was my leg like the leg of a donkey? Everyone exists by a particular cause of birth. What is your cause of birth? Huiliang Zhongzhu wrote 4 verses to accompany these turning words. How was my hand like the hand of Buddha, able to touch the pillow at the back of my head? I unconsciously laughed a great laugh. From the first, the hand is throughout the body. How was my leg like the leg of a donkey? Not yet lifting a step, stepping along in time as manifested, a single assignment, and the 4 seas are circumnavigated. Straddle backwards on the 3 legs of Yang-Yi. Everyone exists by a particular cause of birth. Each and every one has the innate function of penetrating in depth. Naja broke his bones to return them to his father. Can it be that the 5th ancestor relied on the cause of his father? The hand of the Buddha, the leg of the donkey, and the cause of birth are not Buddha, not the way, not Zen. It is not strange that the narrow pass of the gateless checkpoint ties up and exhausts the monk's deep animosity. I love how Wu Liang echoes in the first verse on those turning words, that beloved koan in the Blue Cliff record, case 89, Yongyan's hands and eyes. Yongyan asked Dao Wu, how does the Bodhisattva Guanyin use all those hands and eyes? Dao Wu answered, it's like someone in the middle of the night reaching behind her head for the pillow. I understand. How do you understand it? All over the body are hands and eyes. That is very well expressed, but it's only 8/10 of the answer. How would you say it, elder brother? Throughout the body are hands and eyes. How then is my hand like the Buddha's hand? The old man failed to see the hand of God in the voice on the radio, in the outstretched hands of the firemen and the Coast Guard crewmen. Like a hand reaching behind his head in the dead of the night, lost in dreams grappling for that pillow. Like the hand of a swimmer reaching out, grasping the water and thrusting it back behind him in those neglected swimming lessons. Not one thought. Each, at the sound of the bell, put on, if not the 7-panel robe, then the fireman's waders, the Coast Guardsman's helmet. When the radio chimes, what do you put on? Thank you.